Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Neighborhood Development Committee meeting. We have a rather large agenda this morning. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Howard.
Present.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy.
Here.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Present.
Alderman Gunther.
Here.
Alderman Oldenburg. Chairman Cone.
Present.
President Reed. You have 7 present.
Thank you. So I would like to take a moment this morning. As many of you know, we've been working throughout the summer to try and provide some clarity, transparency, and expectations with regard to how tax abatements are administered in the city of St. Louis. I've been working with SLDC on a map for residential projects under $1 million, and just setting some guidelines in terms of abatements that would be offered within those areas. We do have some folks from SLDC here, but I've had 2 folks, Otis Williams and Jonathan Ferry, who have both said that they weren't able to commit to attending the full meeting. So instead of doing a full-blown presentation this morning, I know many of us have received a copy of the map, but can we pass those out to members of the committee? No, we're not going to do the presentation this morning. We're going to have to reschedule a meeting where Otis and Jonathan can actually attend for the whole thing. I appreciate that, but yeah. So instead, I think what we're going to do today is we'll reschedule time for the presentation and also the discussion around the resolution. I believe it's Resolution 104. So hopefully we can get some time on the calendar in the next week or so to do that. In the meanwhile, what I think we're going to do is I've also heard from members of the committee that we do have a lot of board bills this morning to go through, so we'll just go ahead and dive into those. Dale, do you have a copy of the letter that you sent me? By chance, my office was locked this morning and Thank you, sir. So generally speaking, the way I like to go through these is if there's board bills that are from folks that aren't members of the committee, we'll start with those first so that we can get them out of here a little bit quicker. So is Alderwoman Davis here? No. Alderwoman Sarah Martin. She has board bill 33.
$33 or 30? Oh yeah, 33. Okay.
Well, I'm going to, yeah. So we're going to start with 33. She has multiple board bills in here, 33, 39, 81.
Dang. One pretty pictures.
Appears those are the only 3 before us this morning.
She has a total of 3.
She has a total of 3 bills. We're going to start with board bill number 33.
Good morning, everybody. This is going to be a single-family home. The developer is sort of, he's a realtor and lives in St. Louis City, and he just sort of does a house at a time. He's been really wonderful to work with. He's even attended neighborhood meetings. It is across from Alderman Cone's ward. And believe in what this guy's doing and his project. I think that this corridor right here, we've had some issues with some of the businesses, and I think that this is the kind of redevelopment we need.
And this is for 5 years at 100%.
Correct.
Any questions from members of the committee?
May I ask why you're just doing 5 years? I mean,
That was a recommended.
okay. Okay.
Personally, this track, this is one of the issues I raised in my meeting with SLDC, just with the map, is that the track that this falls in, I think is a little more needs-based than some of the other tracks, say like where I live in Holly Hills. But that was one of the recommendations I made, and they said that they would take a look at that further. Some of it had to do with building permits. So I am fine with this, but I would have been fine also with a little bit more, to be
You
honest.
recommended 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a sort of depressed area, and that's why I was wondering. Okay, that's all.
Any other members of the committee? It's down here.
I know, but is this new now?
It's been slightly revised probably since the last time based off of aldermanic input. And there were some other factors that were taken into consideration too. So I'll entertain a motion on board bill number 33.
Pass Board Bill 81 with the do pass recommendation. Oh,
She has to,
oh, 33, I'm sorry. Board Bill number 33 with a recommendation, do pass recommendation.
second, okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Howard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Odenberg.
Pass.
Chairman Cone.
Aye.
President Reed. 6 yes votes, 0 no votes, and 1 pass.
Okay, with that, board bill number 33 passes out of committee with a do pass recommendation. We'll take up board bill number 39.
Thank you. This project is redevelopment of a school. It borderlines between Patch and Carondelet neighborhoods. This, to me, is actually the perfect abatement project. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have passed them all out at one
We're on
time.
board
I don't
bill
know what I
number
was thinking.
39. Generally, you can just give those here and I'll pass them out so that you don't have to spend time doing that. Thank you.
Are you ready? This is the redevelopment of a school. It's the perfect project, I think, because it's currently not producing any tax dollars right now. It would be market rate apartments in another struggling area. We are continuing to or attempting to fill the finance gaps, so this would help greatly. And this is 10 years at 100%.
Can I ask, did you have any conversations with SLDC or the LCRA with regard to the 100%?
Yes, I mean, it's been a while now, but yes.
What were those conversations? Because the conversations I've been having is that they're trying to claw back the 100% and do more 95, 90% tax abatement and maybe even add on a few years depending upon the project kind of a thing. So,
Well, I think because the nature of this building and it being a school, I think that's where we ended up with this. But I know the developer was open to different avenues with that.
And the school district was okay with the 100% as well?
Yes, we've tried some other avenues as well, like reducing the price of the school, but the school district doesn't want to come down any further on that, or the real estate arm.
Okay. Questions from the committee? Alderwoman Howard?
What did the school sell for? Do you know?
I believe it's 400,000.
400,000?
It's under contract.
Had a nice addition.
Or I'm sorry, it was more than that. I'm sorry. No, it was 400,000.
Now, is this
More.
project finished?
No, they haven't even started. It's just under contract right now.
Oh, I'm looking
I mean,
at the.
I've walked through it a couple times. It's getting worse and worse by the day. There are holes in the ceiling,
Well, it's been vacant
pigeons. We've
for
all
over 10, 20 years, probably.
since I think the late 90s.
So, yeah, acquisition is 400,000. Okay, and have they broke ground on this?
No, it's just under. They have not taken possession of it. It's just under contract. So we are still working with different funding sources and just looking at different our financing alternatives.
But
Just
these
trying to
will
make this
be-
work.
They will be market rate.
Correct, yes, which I just think would be great. It's the perfect spot for that, being close to the highway, and then also with the amenities like in the Ivory Triangle.
Have they projected what rents will be?
I forget what per square foot. Honestly, I can't remember.
That's
what-
okay. Okay. Thank you. That's all.
I wanted to say around $80 a square foot, but I could be off.
Let me just interject something. As you recall, this committee hasn't met for a long time. So some of the items on the agenda, and this is one of them, went through the LCRA board back in February. So long before we were dealing with where we are now on tax abatement and percentages and all that. So you're going to find some are rather old as what they've come through the board, the LCRA board, and this is certainly one of those. So that means we got the application of this, could have even been in 2017, so it's been a while.
Alderwoman Hubbard? Alderwoman Murphy?
No questions. I'm glad they're going to do something with that. Finally, it's a beautiful building, and it'd be nice to have that area shored up.
Alderwoman Spencer? No questions, thank you. Alderman Gunther? Questions?
It's Lions.
Alderman Oldenburg?
Yeah, just a couple of questions, maybe for SLDC. Dale or Matt, do we know this developer? Is there a track record of them doing anything in the city?
Bought a couple buildings recently, but nothing complete yet.
He has, there's another school by the same architect that he's breaking down now, but it's in New City.
Okay. And this information in here, I assume this is the pro forma that the developer submits, that there's $2.8 million in tax credit equity that's coming to the project?
Correct, that's all information given to John, and that's John's report.
I think I might just follow up with John on some of this, because I think some of these assumptions may just be a little inflated. I understand that this is, just an abatement, but I think it might be accurate, Mr. Chairman, that sometimes we get a good assessment of these assumptions, just to make sure that projects come to fruition, particularly if we're going to provide tax abatement. So there is, Alderwoman, there is an option to purchase, that's right? On this, okay. I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 39. Do we have a motion on Board Bill number 39?
I move that we do pass recommendation for Board Bill 39.
Second.
Is there a request for previous roll?
Previous roll.
Is there any objection to previous roll?
Objection.
Oh, thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Howard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Gunther.
Yes.
Alderman Oldenburg.
No?
Chairman Cone.
Aye.
President Reed. 6 yes votes, 1 no vote.
Okay, with that, the committee passes out Board Bill number 39 with a do pass recommendation. We will take up Board Bill number 81. Board Bill number 81.
You ready?
Proceed.
All right, thank you. This is right next to South Square Park, which is one of my biggest problem areas, if you will, in the ward, with, I will just say, drugs and prostitution. James Deering is here. James, if you want to come up. James is a developer. I'm excited about this because Center for Women in Transition, I don't know if you all are familiar with that organization, but they do a lot of good work with women transitioning out of the justice system. They work with these women, and I think this is a great project and a great marriage between moving into a bigger space for them, but also it'll be more activity next to the park.
I just appreciate your support. Thank you.
A personal point of privilege, James also happens to be a constituent and resident in the 25th Ward, and a lovely neighbor he is. So go gently, please. Any questions from the committee? Alderwoman Howard.
Mr. Deering, how many apartments will you have? It's not clear in here. Two two-bedrooms, and how many apartments on the third floor?
There are two-bedroom apartments. We're waiting final drawings. The architect, Tony Duncan, waited to do this, to file for this variance. We've got the first two floors is commercial space, which is in the final stages of being built out. It's your typical mixed-use building. There are apartments on the third floor, which may or may not be used as residential for the Center of Women in Transition, but regardless, they'll be market rate, whether it's their people or my own. I own a number of other mixed-use buildings, and this is nothing different. We've already gone through the zoning change, I think, from J to F for neighborhood commercial, and then this just requires the variance on that.
So
They're
have
up
you
on the third.
identified the businesses that will rent these spaces?
Yes, as Sarah said, there's one tenant, the Center for Women in Transition.
Okay.
And they're taking both floors of the 2 floors that I've made into commercial space.
Okay.
So that's about 6,000 square feet, and these are large apartments. We've done a number of structural repairs to it. It was collapsing, as well as you all had already approved a limited tax abatement.
So there's no historic tax credits or anything with this?
No, I'm not using, the project it falls in between. It's not cost effective to use tax credits, which I've used before on larger projects a while ago, but they're too cumbersome and costly now for this.
Okay. Looks like it's going to add a lot to South Broadway, so thank you.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
A quick question. So walk me through how this model will be set up. It'll be commercial on the bottom, and where would Women in Transition fit in there? Will they actually reside in those units, or will they use their,
It's just for their office space.
their office space?
They have
Okay.
other apartments throughout my ward, but this would just be,
Okay, but so the apartments, they won't be to actually house Women in Transition?
no, just they'll operate their organization over there.
Oh, okay. No further questions.
Unless I'm wrong, are they going to use the top two?
They may, in which case they'd be responsible for the appropriate occupancy permit, and I've given them an option to do that, but I plan on renting them market rate.
No further.
Okay. Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions, thank you.
Alderwoman Spencer.
No questions.
Alderman Gunther.
No questions other than, throughout here it says 8 years at 75%, correct? All right, and then just I guess this is just something for, on the back, on the bill synopsis, it says authorizes a 10 and then quotation 8-year abatement, so just a little
Should have been
bluff
8.
there,
I don't know
but,
why.
Might have been because I requested.
10.
okay, yeah. So, okay, that's all.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion on board bill number 81.
I have no
Yes, you
question.
didn't ask Tom.
Yeah.
sorry.
It's okay, Alderman, I have no
Not going to
questions.
entertain that motion.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Alderman Oldenburg.
I have no questions.
Okay, well, with that, I will entertain a motion on board
I
bill
make a
81.
motion to pass Board Bill number 81 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Is there a request for
Previous roll.
Is there an objection to previous roll?
Objection, because I think I voted no on the last one.
Oh, did you? Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Howard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Chairman Cone.
Aye.
President Reed. 7 aye votes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Next, we will take up, I see Alderman Kennedy. It's board bill number 95.
Is that the only one he has?
It appears to be so. No,
Okay.
he has two. He also has board bill number 115. Ninety-five. Thank you.
Shall I go forward, Mr. Chair?
Proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Board Bill 95, give tax abatement for property at 4213 Maryland. This is Maryland in between Boyle and Whittier. So this is directly across the street from the Schnucks, or the Lindell Market, to the west of it. That block has had a number of problems over the years, and we're seeing some significant changes in that block. This is a vacant parcel of land that's going to have new construction. There have been some other new constructions over there, and so it has raised the market rate. And so the recommendation from SLDC is only 5 years tax abatement for that. They feel that the market can handle that and doesn't require more than that. However, this is a vacant parcel of land where there's new construction for. This has taken a long time for this particular block. It was not included. Years ago, there was a development area that was created, and this block opted to stay out of it. But the development ultimately ended up with the Lindell Market, and at that time, Kroger's, and then Nationals, and now Schnucks. And then later, the Westminster Place development was a part of that overall development. But this block wanted to stay out of it, and which they did, and so it's been a much longer process of developing it. So I do ask for your favorable support.
Questions from the committee? Alderwoman Howard.
This is the block between Euclid and?
No, this is between Boyle and Whittier.
Okay.
So it's much
Little bit
further east.
east.
Right,
Okay.
so it's just a block away from Sarah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's all I,
Okay. Alderwoman Hubbard.
No questions.
Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions, thank you.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the acquisition cost on the vacant lot was $85,000?
Yeah, that's what they're saying here, yes.
That's impressive.
You should have seen where it started.
So the block stayed out of the redevelopment plans?
did,
And the redevelopment plans were in what time frame?
Oh,
That was-
we're talking early 80s.
What was the reasoning or the thought behind staying out of the redevelopment at that time?
At that time, this was, they had a number of concerns. Their particular block had a slightly different vision than, they had, okay, their block had a slightly different character than the rest of the development area. The development area included the old Gaslight Square and a number of vacant lots over there. They had homes in their block. They didn't have a lot of vacant land, but they had a lot of vacant buildings or vacant homes. And they had a slightly different vision on what they wanted to do, so they just opted out of it. But ultimately, what that ended up creating was a much longer development process for their block.
And is the developer, the individual, is this going to be for resale, or is this going to be developer owner?
Did they, where is
Do
it?
you-
Make sure that what I was told is what they
It'll be for sale.
It will be for sale. Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Gunther,
No questions.
Alderman Oldenburg.
No questions?
So I actually have a question for SLDC, Dale or Zach. So I am,
Both walk away.
with the,
There's a question.
with the,
You come up.
yeah, well, getting to Alderwoman Spencer's question, whether or not this is going to be occupied by the developer, you know, as an owner, you know, owner-occupied development or for sale. I don't recall us having a conversation about that over the summer with regard to the incentives here, but, you know, generally speaking, that's used as an incentive for people to buy a house in the city because they, you know, it's incentivizing the buyer. It's not incentivizing the actual project itself. So the project itself is market worthy enough that it can be completed without incentives to, you know, to specification of the developer in the neighborhood. So if the incentive is purely to incentivize people to move into the city, is it even really worthwhile offering an incentive in that situation?
Well, we've done that.
I know
We've
we
done
have.
this many,
I
many
know
times,
we
and
have.
it becomes a marketing tool. So if you're interested in buying a piece of property, a house, now
I guess
that
my
it's been
question is,
built,
does the Central West End really need a marketing tool
well,
to incentivize someone to buy in?
I guess it kind of depends on whether you think of this as really the Central West End. I mean, I think of the Central West End primarily as Boyle to the west, where this is Boyle to the east. It's by that shopping area that was built many, many years ago. And as Alderman Kennedy mentioned, most of this area was vacant land and new construction. McCormick Barron did a whole development in there years and years ago, but this one block was sort of left out. And so there are, you know, slowly, hopefully they're getting developed, but there were a number of vacant lots on this block. So we've really pared back because, you know, a couple of years ago, this would have been a slam dunk 10-year tax abatement. So for that very reason, we're recommending a 5-year tax abatement. And this may be the last lot that will have tax abatement. You know,
If I may, their proximity to the Lindell Market is not always attractive to individuals, because what the block has had continuous problem with is trash blowing in from there and people from there walking. It is not the most attractive block to buy and live in, and so then an incentive would help in development.
Okay. I will entertain a motion on Board Bill number 95.
I move that we pass Board Bill 95 out with a two-pass recommendation.
Second. Previous roll?
Any objection to previous roll? Okay, with that, Board Bill number 95 passes out with a do-pass recommendation. The next Board Bill that Alderman Kennedy is sponsoring is Board Bill number 115.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Board Bill 115 is for tax abatement and development for 410 North Sarah. This is near, this 410 North Sarah is on the northern side, obviously, of Sarah in this area, over by Olive, Washington, on that right near the border of what people are now calling the Divide. This is an old shade and hardware store that has not seen investment since I was a child in that area, which was about only 10 years ago or so. It has a number of problems. You know, it has a leaking roof, it has asbestos that has to be removed. It has been vacant for a number of years. There's just been no upkeep. The proposal is to make it a commercial kitchen and an incubator for companies that do this type of work, food preparation. If you remember the incubator there on Washington that had this near Spring that had this is now closed.
Oh.
And so then this kind of picks up from there. The Ford Hotel, and let me get the names correct here now. Hotel Supply Company is involved in this and will be helping to manage the property there. So there's some, the docks have to be renovated, just the building needs this kind of work. And so then the recommendation is for a 7-year tax abatement. There has not been commercial sales along North Sarah in a very long time. And so the SLDC felt justified to recommend a 7-year tax abatement. Some of you might have seen this building if you've ever gone north on North Sarah there. It's a 1-story, very raggedy looking shade and hardware store. Okay? So I do ask for your favorable support. There's a photograph of it, which looks better than how it actually looks.
Questions from the committee? Alderwoman Howard.
Now, this is behind the school there,
Of Metro you're speaking of?
Metro.
Yeah, it's north of
North.
Metro.
North
Yeah,
and
Metro's
and
at
west.
McPherson. It's
and
north
west.
and west of Metro.
Yeah, I know where you're talking, because you almost have to go past that to get into the campus there.
Yep, you would if you're coming from the north.
So, sounds like, now, let me ask you, the people that were at the other incubator are going to move over here? Or you're not sure?
They have, the company themselves have their own clients.
Okay.
But they're thinking that some of the clients from there will be able to use this as well, or have an interest in going there since it's in the same general vicinity.
And this is a private entity?
It's a private entity.
Now, the other one was sort of
It's
public.
public right city.
Okay, sounds great. That's all I have.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
Question, how long has the hardware store been closed? I didn't realize.
Has been closed. What? Really closed and not really, I mean, they were going there, open up the doors, but they didn't have anything to sell. So 10 years? Yeah. Yeah.
Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions.
Alderwoman Spencer.
No questions.
Alderman Gunther.
I guess this might be for Zach also here. The front page here, acquisition cost $200,000, construction cost $300,000. On your next sheet, kind of says acquisition $200,000, construction $600,000. Which one we going with?
The front page is what's on the application, but John digs deep with the developer. Doug Rasmussen's here from the developer to answer any other questions.
Or just a simple 600,000 construction or 300,000?
Hi, I'm Doug Rasmussen with Duff and Phelps. Thank you for the opportunity this morning. It's the higher number, and that does not include the kitchen equipment as well. So that's just the building redevelopment, acquisition redevelopment.
Okay. All right. No further questions.
Alderman Oldenburg.
This is a good project, Alderman. This might be a question, is it contemplated, looks like the developer's putting all cash in to complete the project cost? Sorry, Doug, maybe. Is that still the contemplation?
That is correct.
Okay. And will the developer be the owner, the Twinford Corporation? Will they develop, or are they just fee developing and it'll be a partnership that will own the actual business?
Yep. So the developer is Ford Hotel Supply, who's actually in Alderwoman Hubbard's ward. So this is their second location, and this would be, they would own and manage the space and the property.
Good. Okay. No further questions.
So is this going to be when I hear incubator, I think of a nonprofit entity that is, building, businesses from the ground up kind of a thing. How is this structured in terms of the end user?
Right, so it would be a for-profit entity, but, Ford Hotel, they provide commercial kitchen fit-out and consulting and design, and so they've seen a kind of a gap, I guess, and, you know, with their clients and new restaurants and businesses and these food carts and other entrepreneurs who are approaching them for services. And so they're a very civic-oriented company. They're a fourth-generation business, and so I think they see a gap here to, you know, really contribute back to the city and, you know, redevelop a building and then provide services. And they actually will have two staff people on site that'll connect the entrepreneurs back to like St. Louis Development Corporation and other, you know, economic development providers for loans and business planning and stuff. So it's got kind of a not-for-profit feel, but it's a for-profit entity.
Okay. And so their goal is to help folks that want to start a catering business or?
Catering,
how-
yeah, it could be catering, could be, you know, people who make, you know, dog biscuits. It could be really anything, you know, anything along those lines. Granola, you know, they anticipate having as many as 12 companies that could use it at any one time.
Okay. Very cool.
So,
Hopefully, we don't confuse the dog biscuits and the granola,
we might not know the difference.
Yeah.
depending on the quality of the dog biscuit.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Can
I
I
have one,
ask one
I have one more follow-up.
Sure. Alderwoman Howard has another question.
Sure.
So would this be, the lease, I guess we're kind of getting into the weeds here, but anyway, the lease would be by time, I guess? Or, in other words, if I need to prep food for 4 hours, I would have a rate to pay for that?
That's exactly right.
Now, I would not have any storage space, or,
You would have space to perform. There's 6 kitchens, 2 prep kitchens, 4 full commercial kitchens.
so I would not, in other words, I would not have a long-term lease where this space would be mine and at my disposal when I wanted to use it. It would be by
One
appointment.
of the entities that they're talking about that, but generally the business model is you could rent it very
By the
flexibly.
hour.
Right.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 115.
I make a motion to pass Board Bill number 115 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second?
Previous roll?
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill number 115 passes out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you.
Now everybody's home.
That's right.
I thought I had seen that Alderman Williamson.
He was here. Ballmer's here.
Williams, he's
Oh, there he is. His best side.
38. So Alderman Williamson will start with Board Bill number 38.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Board Bill 38 is the single dwelling home located at 5780 McPherson.
Do you have the photos?
Yes,
from
I do.
SLDC?
This is a single dwelling home in the Central West End in 5780 McPherson. It's a brand new house that's being built. It's approximately probably about 12 to 14 new houses on that particular block. This is in the Skinker Developer neighborhood, and we're asking for a 5-year tax abatement on this particular home, and it will be for sale.
Okay, questions from the committee, Alderwoman Howard.
No questions, Ed.
Alderwoman Hubbard? No. Alderwoman Murphy? No. Alderwoman Spencer? Alderman Gunther?
No questions.
Alderman Oldenburg? No, sir. I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 38.
Make a motion to pass Board Bill number 38 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll?
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill number 38 passes out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Okay.
Board Bill number 94.
Board Bill 94 is a 4-family flat that's located at 1420 through 22 Union. These same particular developers rehab or restore the building that was right next door.
Photos for 94.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This is from the
94.
Board Bill 94. That's from the first view.
That's 57. And this is a four-family flat in the Academy neighborhood, which is a challenged neighborhood. And we're excited that we have developers restoring some of the buildings in that particular neighborhood. Like I was saying earlier, the developers there also restored the building right next door to 1420 through 22. It was 1416 through 1418, which is right on the east side of this particular building. It's almost like a twin, another four-family flat that was restored by these same developers. And we're asking for a 10-year tax abatement at 90%.
Is the Academy neighborhood in a historic district?
The Academy, yes, it is. Some parts of it is. Yes, a lot of those homes were built, you know, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, kind of around the World's Fair era, when those homes were built. Yeah.
Neighborhoods outside of Dutchtown, obviously. Questions from the committee, Alderman or Alderwoman Hubbard or Howard?
Now, the picture here shows the front and the back of the building, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear. You said they did another development in the same block?
Right next door to that particular building. Yes, they have all of them.
It's a lovely facade on the building.
Yes, it is. That beautiful white stone brick is beautiful.
So will these be market rate?
No, they're going to be
subsidized?
affordable.
Huh?
No, affordable.
Affordable?
Yeah, market rate affordable, yeah.
Okay.
In that particular neighborhood, you know, like I said, it's still kind of a challenged neighborhood, so it has to be affordable.
Now, will the developer also be the owner, or will they be selling this?
I'm not sure about that.
They'll own the building. They currently own the building next door, and they'll continue to rent it out for years.
So they actually manage and own it, I guess? Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Alderwoman Hubbard?
So the acquisition cost was only 4,000?
Yes.
Was this an LRA property? I'm just curious.
I'm not sure. I think it was a private owner. I think he bought it from a private owner, if I'm not mistaken. And it was empty, was vacant.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the cross street on Linden? I'm trying to get
Oh, that's right there. That's Minerva.
Oh, okay.
No, Ridge.
Ridge. Between Ridge and
yeah,
Wells.
Yeah, so it's the hood, yeah. Yeah.
Alderwoman Murphy?
No questions, thank you.
Alderwoman Spencer?
Good.
Alderman Gunther?
No questions.
Alderman Oldenburg? I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 94.
I make a motion to pass Board Bill number 94 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second?
Previous roll.
Any objections to previous roll? Hearing no objections, Board Bill number 94 passes out with a due pass recommendation.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Volmer has Board Bill number 113.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We have before you Board Bill 113. Here are the copies, if we can. Excuse me, Frank, wait here. This is at the corner of Morgan Ford and Wyoming at the eastern boundary of the 10th Ward in the Tower Grove South neighborhood. On the corner, as you look there, the top picture is the existing building, which has been abandoned and empty for the last 16, 17 years that I know of. Next to it is an empty lot. Below is a conceptual drawing of what they'll be doing. They'll be rehabbing and gutting the existing building and attaching a new building to it, creating 18 one-bedroom apartments, will be renting for $1,200 a month, to two-bedroom apartments at $1,600 a month, and one commercial unit on the first floor at $22.25 a month. The purchase price was $325,000. The construction costs are estimated at $3.4 million. When I wrote the letter requesting tax abatement in these new days, what I did was write to SLDC stating, please see if tax abatement will fit this, and at your discretion, assign what you believe is the best thing. They came up with 10 years at 95%. And I believe if you look at the new map that you have near, that is what they're recommending for this area. I'll be open to any questions.
Alderwoman Howard?
So the whole bottom floor will be commercial?
The square footage of the commercial, Rob Maltby here, he is the developer. Is it first floor commercial? Yes.
First floor of the existing building.
Of the existing building.
There's 1,498 square feet of commercial space. And then the infill.
Could you step up to the microphone?
And then the infill section is going to have the tuck under parking at a 1-to-1 ratio for the residents of the
Oh,
apartments.
okay, because I was thinking that was a huge.
We're creating sort of the look of a business district that is continuing along the street so as not to detract by having, essentially just staring at cars. So the intent initially was to try and create micro retail, but bank underwriters don't like that, so we're kind of doing a facade essentially.
So you're doing, and they'll enter through the alley in the back for
The
parking?
cars will enter through the alley, correct, and then we'll have the main occupant resident entrance on the north side on Wyoming.
This is wonderful.
We do have more renderings and layouts.
Is this your first project?
This is not my first project.
The city?
In the city, I've done with Green Street Development about $250 million worth of development in the city. And then my first project as a single entity developer is the 3172 Morganford project, which is about 60 to 65%
That's across the street
completed,
and
about a
where the
block
old
and a half
car
away,
wash.
correct. Mhm.
Okay.
And so that will be 26 apartments with about 5,000 square foot
I'm
of
very
commercial
familiar
space.
with the neighborhood. That's where I grew up.
Good.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Alderwoman Hubbard? No. Alderwoman Murphy?
No question.
Alderwoman Spencer?
I just, is Morgan Ford 2 words?
No.
It is when you put it into Word. But
I mean, it's 2 words?
I still say it's one word.
On the street signs,
The street signs, it's one word.
I always go by the street signs. I thought it was it's 2 words.
It's one
Morgan.
word.
That's one word.
All right.
It's not a Ford dealership, so if that's what you're wondering, no, it's not Morgan's Ford dealership.
Fair enough. I would just want to, we have a very difficult position down here to try and vet some of these tax abatements, and it can be, difficult to do. I appreciate you kind of leaving this up to SLDC and,
Sure.
whether or not we agree with SLDC sometimes, but it's really hard and impossible for aldermen in our position to try and micromanage some of these developments. And so I commend you on that, and that's not a question, but just a statement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Alderman Gunther?
No question.
Alderman Oldenburg?
No questions.
So is there going to be an additional curb cut on Morgan Ford, or since the garage access is through the alleyway, is the entrance and exit both in the alleyway?
No, it's going to be on Wyoming. This is a corner lot, Wyoming.
Okay, so.
There won't be a curb cut on Morgan Ford itself, no, and we're planning on keeping the existing bus stop there too.
Great.
Maybe
That was
having
going
to
to be my
temporarily
next question.
relocate it during construction, obviously, but for the most part, we really like that section of Morgan Ford because it's pedestrian friendly, bike friendly, and there's a transit route too through that.
So, and since you're doing the project a little further north, what did the city do? I can't remember the tax abatement that was offered for that project.
I believe we're 10 years at 90% on that one.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 113.
I make a motion to pass out Board Bill number 113 with the due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll.
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill number 113 passes out with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members.
I see Alderman Ogilvy is here. Yes. And his daughter is currently preoccupied on the phone, no doubt talking to someone very important. She is getting very big. So Alderman Ogilvy has Board Bill number 40.
Taking a phone call. Number 40. Okay. Is this the only one?
I believe it is his only
Okay.
board bill.
Good morning, members of the Neighborhood Development Committee. Board Bill number 40 authorizes tax abatement for the construction of 2 new single-family homes in the Clayton Tam neighborhood of Dogtown. This was a lot that had frontage on both Nashville and Wade. The developer subdivided it and built new homes, 1 new home facing each street. Homes are in the $350,000 sale price range, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And so you may notice the bill actually says 5 years at 80% tax abatement. The maps that have been developed by SLDC over the last several months recommend 5 years at 50% in this particular census tract. So I'm willing to, or I'm amenable to dealing with that however the chairman wants to deal with it, either now via an amendment or perhaps a floor substitute that simply reduces the tax abatement to 50% next week when it's on the perfection calendar.
I mean, I'm fine with doing an amendment in committee. Dale? No, we only need advance notice if it's a committee substitute. So if it's an amendment, we can do it on the fly in committee. Madam Clerk, is there a way that you could work with Alderman Ogle so we can pass this out as an amended bill today?
Yeah, nice.
And I'll go through the rest of the board bills while we're working on that.
Okay.
So we'll put board bill 40 to the side for the moment and get whatever language needs to change in the board bill to amend it accordingly. Alderwoman Marlene Davis has let me know that she is not going to be able to attend today's meeting and is okay waiting for the next meeting to have her board bills heard. I believe Alderwoman Spencer has a number of board bills before us. Oh, I'm sorry. Alderman Coder is here. He has board bill number 84.
Yes. Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Board Bill 84 is a request for a 5-year, 75% tax abatement for a up-and-coming block of McKinley Heights. It's on McNair, 2235 McNair, which would be kind of right where McNair and Shenandoah and like Gravois all come together. Oh, sorry, I got the handout. How about that? I'll give you, my bad. This developer's done a couple houses on this block. He knows the area pretty well. I think this was a vacant building. I recognize this was approved back in April. I think under our new guidelines and your new map, I think this would fall just outside of an area we'd give tax abatement to. You know, this is one of those situations where probably this block should still qualify, but it's in a census tract that ultimately won't, and that's fine. I mean, there's not many projects left to do on this block, and hopefully, once you do this one, we've stabilized a few more properties, they won't even need tax abatement. It's a single-family home, about $138,000 in construction costs. They think they'll sell it for about $200,000. I bet they could probably sell it for a little bit more, but that's probably right about in line with that area.
Questions from the committee? Alderwoman Howard.
This won't be subsidized, it's market rate?
No, it's a market rate project.
Okay.
Alderwoman Hubbard? Alderwoman Murphy? Alderwoman Spencer?
No questions.
Alderman Gunther?
Thanks, Alderman Coder. Developer Orlando Askins.
Yeah.
How's that going?
He knows this. He's not my favorite developer, but I mean, he does okay work. He's done a couple other houses on this particular block that have sold. Building division keeps an eye on him.
I think he's in a lawsuit with the city right now.
That could be. I don't hold that against people. I make a living
Right.
suing people.
Okay, no further questions.
Alderman Oldenburg.
I make a motion to pass Board Bill number 84 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll.
Is there an objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 84 passes out with a due pass recommendation.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Alderman. Okay. Is that all the aldermen that aren't on the committee? Okay, great.
Wait, Murphy's got one.
That aren't on the committee?
I am on the committee.
I know. I'm aware. So we'll go ahead with Alderwoman Murphy, actually. Seniority.
What about Sam Moore's bills?
I'm sorry.
What about, what do we do with Alderman Alderman?
I'm gonna wait for it until I haven't heard from him, so I don't want to pass something.
Okay, I got you. What about Ingracia?
I haven't, I'll text her. I'll text both of them. So Alderwoman Murphy.
It's Board Bill 34.
34.
And I do have pictures. 34. It actually takes up three buildings. It's I'm sorry, so sharp. It's a redevelopment plan for 5019, 5032, and 5034 Ulena. It's near Delore, Ulena and Delore. These were vacant lots. This is, I'm sorry, these are the developers' Habitat for Humanity. They were 3 vacant lots that have been an eyesore on that block for a long time. And personally, the neighbors right there are really excited that these homes they're already built. It says will be built. They're already almost completed because the neighbors have been cutting the grass there and the city's been cutting the grass. And so we're excited about them going through. The homes were already being built when the process was stopped for the rezoning and everything. So it was recommended that they get 10 years at 100%, and I concurred. I believe the configuration might be a little different now, but these were in the hopper long before we started the reconfiguring of the abatement. So I've showed you the pictures. Like I said, they're very, it's an odd area there. Ulena's a narrow street. It's right by Delore, which is very commercial. There's Foundry there and different things all around there. Bates, it's in between like Bates and Delore. There's a street actually right near there, Eichelberger, whose homes face the alley of a street called Schiller. And it's iffy. The homes fit in beautifully. There's a small frame home, and they fit in beautifully. I asked for your a due pass recommendation on Board Bill 34.
Any questions from the committee? Alderwoman Howard.
On your map here, there's only 2 homes showing.
No, the one's a double lot.
Oh,
They're
there's 2
narrow.
on
You know
it.
how
Okay,
the homes
yeah.
there are all
Okay, so
single
there's
family,
2 on the
very
one,
narrow.
on the
2
one
on
lot.
the one lot.
Okay, I
And the
got you.
homes are already built, by the way,
I know.
or almost completed, I should say.
Okay. No further questions.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No questions.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Nope.
Alderman Gunther.
No question.
Alderman Oldenburg.
No question.
I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 34.
I move that we pass Board Bill 34 with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Any requests for previous roll?
Request for previous roll.
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 34 passes out with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
And next, we'll take up Alderwoman Spencer's bills, starting with Board Bill number 20.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Starting with Board Bill number 20, this is a tax abatement for a 4-family flat on Arkansas. This is a new developer, Sincere Mansfield. This is going to be his first project. we're really excited to see somebody take on a four-family, sincere plans to live in the building himself and rent the other 3 units, which is a really unique and very positive, I think, part of the development plan. This is in the neighborhood of Graveway Park, which is coming along, but this is on the side of Graveway Park that really needs a lot of help. Arkansas is a good street, but we still have a lot of vacancy on that street.
I think we're on Board Bill 118.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had these in different order here. This is my fault.
So
Oh, we're on
okay.
let's do 118 since you just did.
change, and then we'll, yeah, and then we'll just,
I passed out 118. I apologize, thank you, my
We're
fault.
listening to Board Bill 118.
Yes, this is the Arkansas 118 development, yeah. So, that's it. The recommendation here was 10 years at 90%. You know,
Great questions from the committee. Alderwoman Howard.
he acquired this property for $45,000, and he's going to renovate. There are 4 one-bedroom units, I take it?
yes, I think they're pretty small units. There's 2 bedrooms, 1 bath per unit down here in the details, but it is kind of a smaller footprint.
Is he doing the
believe-
work himself?
I believe he's doing a lot of the work himself.
I was going to say 90,000 is a heck of a
Yeah.
bargain. So, and this is his first development?
It is his first development.
Has he done construction before?
It's my understanding that he has. He's been pretty communicative with me once I reached out. He's very excited to move forward. We're taking a chance on a first-time developer, obviously, but this is an area that I believe would benefit from abatement regardless of the developer. And so if for some reason this doesn't make it all the way through, it would be passed on to somebody else who I think could benefit from it.
So they're going to be market rate?
Yeah, they are going to be market rate. But this area is affordable in and of itself anyway. I mean, it would,
So around 650, 500, somewhere
that would
there.
be somewhere around my guess, yeah. Yeah.
More like 475.
Has he
475,
managed
500.
properties before?
It's my understanding that he has not.
Okay, all right.
This was recommendation by SLDC, who vetted him. I haven't really talked with him much, so I'm going purely off the recommendation of SLDC on this.
Blame it on them.
Yeah. But I mean, in all fairness, he seems like a very nice guy, and
Well,
this is
yeah, I mean,
exactly
I'm
the
just,
type of
it's
development we
very,
want to see.
very reasonable price. I guess what my question is, will he be able to do all this for $90,000? I mean, looking at the shape of the building being a board up, but that's
It's got
just
good
my
bones.
take. So, well, it's got good bones, but I'm thinking you'll probably have to renovate all the systems, and that's very expensive. But if he's doing it himself and knows what he's doing, I guess it'll be okay. All right, thank you, that's all I have.
Alderwoman Hubbard. No questions. Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions.
Alderman Gunther.
No question.
Alderman Oldenburg. I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 118.
I make a motion to pass Board Bill 118 out of committee with a do pass recommendation.
Second.
Any objections to do,
Previous
to
roll.
previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill number 118 passes out with the do pass recommendation. So now we'll do 20.
Now we will
we'll
actually
go into
do
Mary
Board
Carter.
Bill number 20. This is a redevelopment for 3452 Oregon Street, also in the Graveway Park neighborhood. This is closer to Cherokee Street, but at the very end of that block, almost at Potomac. This developer, Erica Johnson, has a very good track record in our neighborhood. She owns her own business doing this. She does a phenomenal job. I've been really impressed with some of the work she's done so far. She picked this up pretty on the low end of things, $9,500. But again, being really close to Potomac, we're seeing some stability closer to Cherokee Street, but this is just a little bit further south there. Again, I'm going with the recommendation of SLDC here of 10 years at 90%. And have a lot of faith that this one will get done, seeing the track record that Ms. Johnson has had so far.
Questions on Board Bill number 20? Alderwoman
No
Hubbard.
questions.
Alderwoman Hubbard. No. Alderwoman Murphy.
I'm just curious, on Argon there, you know where the drop-off is? How
Yes.
close is that to the drop-off? Because you almost end up with like a private street right there.
We do.
Yeah.
That is one block, this is one block north of
North
that
of there,
drop-off. And
okay.
actually, we just completed fixing that drop-off. It was started to really
Yes.
collapse. We did a fix of that
Oh,
whole
cool. I'll have
area.
to go
You'll have
that
to
way
go
and look at
in
it
the back
from-
end
from
of it,
the-
yeah.
yes,
It was
okay.
really crumbling, so.
Okay. I grew up right there.
Did you?
so,
Okay.
yes, okay,
Yeah.
thank
And
you.
there's some vacancy on that Oregon block. There's a lot of 4 families on that.
Mhm.
And we're looking to get some of those done, but it makes it tough.
Excellent.
Alderman Gunther.
No questions.
Alderman Oldenburg. I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 20.
I move we pass Board Bill 20 with a do-pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll. Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill number 20 passes out with a do-pass recommendation. Alderwoman Reed Spencer has Board Bill number 22.
22.
Okay. Board Bill number 22 is a 4-family being converted into 2 townhomes. This is happening on the 3400 block of Ohio, so a similar location, but just a couple blocks over from the previous development we just looked at. These are going to be for sale units, obviously, with the sales price of the 2 townhomes listed there. Daryl Brown, I haven't had too much personal relationship with him, but he has a pretty good track record, from my understanding, working in the neighborhood and doing projects, other projects. So we're happy to see these be converted to purchasable, units. We've got a lot of multi-units on this block too, but I think having that mix is a really good thing. So with that, I'm going with the SLDC recommendation of 10 years at 90%.
Questions from committee, Alderwoman Howard,
No questions.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
One quick question. So in this particular block, do you have many units like this where they've been converted to townhomes and they have been sold?
We don't really. Most of our 4 families have remained a 4-family in a 4-family rental capacity. In the general vicinity, I would say a block or 2 from here, there have been 2 instances where they have done this, and it has been successful. But the vast majority of 4-family flats, and we have a lot of them, have remained 4-family in nature and rental.
I was just curious if they'll have a hard time selling.
They, I can't really speak to what his strategy is to sell them, but to your point, the vast majority of them have remained apartments. Yeah. So,
Alderwoman
yeah.
Murphy.
No questions.
Alderman Gunther.
No questions.
Alderman Oldenburg. Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 22.
I move that we pass Board Bill 22 with a do-pass recommendation.
Second.
Any motion for previous roll? Previous roll. Any objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection, Board Bill 22 passes out with a do-pass recommendation. We will now take up Board Bill 79.
Board Bill number 79. This is a 4-family unit. This one I'm not as familiar with, so excuse me. This one is developer Orlando Askins, who we've heard about today already. I don't have any dealings directly, with him, other than we've done one development that has gone well on Merrimack with this particular developer, so I'm pleased with that. And he's been very proactive with me on some of the nuisance properties around some of the other properties he owns. So that's a very, very good thing, at least as far as I'm concerned. 3400 block of Iowa is, again, in the Gravway Park neighborhood. This is going to be this is the same type of project as the Alderwoman from the 5th pointed out. You have a 4-family that's being converted into 2 townhomes. So,
And we lost a pretty nice house.
The couple that we have been successful, and so hopefully this will continue on that same track record. Gravway Park, while these moves tend to sort of decrease density, Grabway Park is the city's most densely populated neighborhood, and we're doing development of the vacancies around there. So I'm not too concerned about reducing the density by these kind of maneuvers, and think it kind of fits into an overall diverse set of developments. And with that, again, going with the SLDC recommendation of 10 years at 80% on this one. Not sure why this one went 80% where the others were at 90, but going with the recommendation here.
Go with the
Thank you.
flow.
Questions from the committee? Alderwoman Howard.
No questions.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions.
Alderman Gunther.
It's good.
So my only question is on this one, the math seems a little bit backwards here with acquisition cost of 30,000, construction at 404, and then 195 for each side. So that's roughly 400. So he's in the hole already? So
You know,
take a look at your acquisition costs and your construction costs.
I was wondering this.
And then proposed sale price.
Yeah, that's a good point here. Maybe he's, is he throwing in
Just
an extra 30
$48,000.
grand of his own money?
To be honest,
Or is that-
Orlando kind of lowballs on the sale price. He usually gets a little bit more than 195. So usually 220, 230 would be more of a reality with him.
I'll tell you, if we get 220
I was going
Yeah.
on a block of Iowa,
Well,
that
if you got a 195, it'd be
drinks
great.
for the whole committee on me.
Write that down.
Write that down.
Don't write that.
All right, well, that was my only question.
to get 150 for a renovated house.
Alderman Oldenburg, or Alderman Gunther.
I mean,
did you have
the acquisition cost of 30,000 to turn around and sell these, I mean, this is going to be a remarkable transformation if we can pull it off.
Alderman Oldenburg. So Zach, what, this doesn't make sense.
Which doesn't make sense.
So, I mean, the 30,000
taking a
acquisition, the
loss.
$400,000 and then selling for 195, it's not going to sell for more than 195. I would be absolutely shocked.
Well, the issue is on the the sale prices on all the applications are usually lower than most. We'll
So
see
you're
one-
saying there's comps in the neighborhood on 3-bedroom, 2.5 in Grabway Park that are selling for $235,000
They're at least over 200,000.
In Grabway
in Grabway Park and 63118?
Yes.
Okay. I'm shocked.
Let me sign up.
I
Where do I
guess I
put my
should
money
sell
down?
my duplex in Dutchtown now.
No, you'll see the sales price on the applications usually are extremely low, extremely high. You'll see one in Alderman Gunther's here in a little second that is extremely high.
I get the application is different though than comps in the area. Or, I mean, we're looking at the comps in the area though.
Yes, we are.
and-
Yes.
Okay. It has not been the experience of my neighbors that live just a quarter mile away from there.
It's a
Zach,
seller's market.
when we look at these construction costs, do we, as these move forward, do we monitor the building permits that are acquired by the developer on these projects?
Correct, yes.
Do we do that?
When they
And
send,
benchmark them and say, hey, you said your construction cost was going to be $400,000 and you've only applied for building permits of $20,000. Do we, for example, monitor that sort of thing?
yes, we, on our closing process, we look at the building permits pulled.
Okay.
And if there's a huge gap, we make them go back and file
pay.
a change.
Okay.
Because that is also income generated for the city, and, we use that for
Everything.
everything, so, yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 79.
I make a motion to pass Board Bill 79 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll.
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing
Mi-
none.
Mr.
Board Bill number 79 passes out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Zach, would you commit to, I hate to, but would you commit to letting this committee know when these are actually sold?
Yeah.
And what they sold for? I would really appreciate that. I think we all have a question on that particular one. And I have a drink order, potentially.
A drink?
Okay, last but not least, Board Bill number 80 on Osage Street. This is this particular development, 3211 Osage, with the developer of Rubicon, this is actually a joint development with Dutchtown South Community Corporation. And so this is our housing development organization, Dutchtown South, and that is why you see this really large discrepancy in the construction, the amount of money being put in the construction, the rehabilitation of the single-family home, and the proposed sale price, excuse me. So this is a project that is being gap financed, gap funded with CDA funds. It was, I believe, awarded CDA funds for housing development, and with that came along the requirement of this tax abatement subsidy. So this has not only been vetted by SLDC, but has been awarded funding by CDA. Is that right, Zach? It has. I knew it was applying. I didn't know if it was already awarded. Yeah, the gap funding. Yeah, okay. So this is a single-family home that will be for sale by Dutchtown South Community Corporation. And with that, you know, again, going with the recommendation here, but acquiescing to CDA and their priorities for funding the housing development with the, this is with the Community Development Block Grant money. With that, I'll take questions.
Zach, this is where I'm a little conflicted. So you have the property on Iowa that we just passed out.
Correct.
That has a sales price of $195,000. This is a few blocks away from this property here that has a projected sales price, and it's 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and
75,000.
$75,000.
Oh, they
So
had to
that's
make
a
it affordable.
$125,000 difference over like a
Is controlling the price of that too.
Yeah, that is the Osage will be sold to a family of a specific income.
Okay.
So this is a specific affordable housing. And to be honest, there is a pretty big difference between Graveway Park along Cherokee and even a few blocks south. We still,
yeah, Marquette Park is rough.
So, but I agree, with the amount of money that we're putting into this home on Osage, I would think we could, you know, on a fair market schedule, get a higher price.
I would hope so.
But
Okay. Questions from the committee, Alderwoman Howard.
This is across from Marquette Park?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see on the map here,
Yeah.
the big blank area is
Marquette Park and the pool, yeah. I guess my concern would be, you know, you're finding someone that can buy this, and are they going to be vetted, and are they going to get some support after they buy this on, you know, home ownership and
Yeah, I mean, this would really fall into, again, this is Dutchtown South Community Corporation. They were recently awarded an Invest STL grant to do some of that work that you're describing. They are being taken under the wings by a lot of organizations, and so
the prospective owner?
Dutchtown South Community Corporation, the co-developer. This is listed as a Rubicon, but really this is a project that was initiated by Dutchtown South Community Corporation. They contracted with Rubicon to do the development work, but this is going to be marketed and sold by Dutchtown South.
Right, to
So-
a qualified buyer.
Correct. And so it's my understanding Dutchtown South is going to be doing a lot of that programming through that Invest STL
That's
grant.
what I guess
Yeah.
what I'm trying to compare
Yeah.
it to is what Habitat for Humanity does with their homeowners that they actually work through and budgeting and all the things that it takes to own a home.
And to be
the
successful,
responsibility.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be a successful homeowner.
Sure.
Okay. All right, that's all I have.
Alderwoman Howard. Hubbard. I'm
Hubbard.
sorry.
How much did CDA put in on?
I don't know the exact figure. I think it was significant. So CDA, do we have that on here?
I don't exact figure on
We would normally want to include that, I think. You know, if there are any,
Good to see what all is in it.
yes. I think we should make sure that moving forward, when there is, we do include that, whether it's historic tax credits on a larger development or CDA funding on a smaller development like this, so that we can kind of see everything that's, I want to say
The gap is 130. So 205 it would be worth. That's a slim profit margin.
Well, the
For
130
developer.
includes it includes all that in there. There's a
No, but that's what I'm saying is.
But there's a
it's-
30,
Oh.
there's a $40,000 development fee included in that. So it's not that slim.
Okay.
They do all right.
They do all right.
They'll be okay.
They'll be okay.
I didn't think so.
So,
Alderwoman Murphy.
Just one question. It looks like a single-family home, and it says 2 townhouses.
it's just single family,
I
yeah.
was going to say, because it says 2 townhomes, and I thought,
Nope.
how are we going to get that out of that?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope,
that's
it's just one little house.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Gunther.
No questions.
With that, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 80.
I move we pass Board Bill 80 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll.
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 80 passes out with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I want to say, I know we had 5 here, but it was a long number of years where these neighborhoods didn't see any tax abatement, and we're not seeing any development at all. And so this is a really good move in the right direction, and even though this is quite a lot for 1 year, it's been a long time coming.
Probably weren't making any.
With that, we'll take up Board Bill number 40 again. Alderman Ogilvy has generously given us time this morning. I appreciate that, and has worked with SLDC and the legal counsel on an amendment to Board Bill number 40.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I don't think so.
You don't, you gave it out before.
I believe it was actually written up as 3 amendments, so.
It is 3 amendments, so.
Oh, the amendments.
We'll go ahead, yeah, I'm passing out the amendments
Oh,
now.
okay.
I mean, that was the
So
reason
we'll
for
deal
waiting.
with the first amendment to Board Bill number 40.
Great. As you know, I'm not a member of the committee, so I can't make the motion, but I will summarize the 3 amendments by saying that when this bill was filed in April, and when LCRA probably saw it in March, we recommended 5 years of 80% tax abatement. The subsequent development of the map to guide tax abatement for smaller projects, we want to go with the new recommendation. So the amendments are changing the 80% tax abatement to 50% tax abatement. It just changes the reference from 80% to 50%. Wherever it's in the bill, which is 3 times. So that's why there's 3 amendments.
Great. So I'm going to make a motion that we adopt amendment number 1 to Board Bill number 40.
I second the motion.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Howard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy. Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Odenberg. Chairman Cone.
Aye.
President Reed. 6 aye votes.
Great, thank you. We'll take up amendment number 2, which is exactly, as Alderman Ogilvy explained, amending the amount of the tax abatement in the bill. I'm passing out amendment number 2. Does anyone have any questions on amendment number 2? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt amendment number 2 to Board Bill number 40.
I move we adopt Amendment 2 to Board Bill number 40. Previous roll.
Hearing no, is there any objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection to previous roll, amendment number 2 to Board Bill 40 passes. And now we will take up amendment number 3. This is the last amendment out of the bunch.
Not as simple as we thought.
Does anyone have questions with regard to amendment number 3 for Board Bill number 40? Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt amendment number 3 to Board Bill number 40.
Second.
Do we need the motion?
Motion to pass board bill number, or amendment number 3 to board bill number 40.
Second.
Previous roll.
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, amendment number 3 to Board Bill number 40 passes. So we will now hear Board Bill number 40 as amended.
Well, Board Bill number 40, as amended, is a bill to authorize 5 years of tax abatement at 50% for 2 new construction single-family homes in Dogtown, one on Nashville, one on Wade. Any questions about those homes?
We'll take questions from the committee. Alderwoman Howard.
None.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
One quick question, so on the amendment, it has 10%, then 50.
Amendment 3.
No, it's changing the language that's in the board bill that has it at 10 year at 80%, with 5 years at 80%,
Oh, okay, but it says 10%.
10 years.
Oh, there you go. Probably need to change. No further questions.
Who's next? Alderwoman Murphy.
No question.
Alderwoman Gunther.
No question.
Any other questions from committee? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion that we pass out Board Bill number 40 as amended with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
I need the motion.
I make a motion that we pass Board Bill 40 as amended with the due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous roll.
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill number 40 as amended passes out of committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so Alderman Gunther, I believe, is our last.
The last one up.
I have not heard from Alderman Moore.
Davis.
And I don't want to pass anything that, he may or may not want to have passed. Alderwoman Ingracia already had sent me an email saying that she wanted hers held for now. And Alderwoman Davis also said that she wanted hers held. So
If the record would just show that we had a public hearing, no one showed up, so we don't have to re-advertise those.
Correct.
But we'll put them on your agenda the next time you meet.
Great.
Great, thank you.
So,
Hopefully not on a Monday morning.
and that would be Board Bill number 97 and Board Bill number 83, Board Bills number 28, 29, and Board Bill number 114 for Alderwoman Davis were advertised, and no one showed to testify in favor or opposition to any of those board bills. And with that, we will take up Board Bill number 23. Alderman Gunther, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Board Bill 23 is for the redevelopment of 3520 Wisconsin. 3520 Wisconsin has been quite the issue with our NSO and our neighborhood association over there. It was a very frequent drug house that we were able to get the DEA in, and it turned out that it was, in fact, was a meth house that they were cooking in. So the developer, we were able to get to purchase the property and is going to be doing a whole lot of cleanup on it. He's going to kind of acquire that cost himself, but I think that kind of goes into a lot of that $152,000 in the construction cost on it. This area of the Marine Villa neighborhood is kind of right on the boundary with Broadway. It's kind of a little bit of a challenging area because we do have the enormous Lemp Brewery complex that is mostly industrial. But then right up the street from this, we are working on one of the last tax abatements that I brought before the committee, which was for the Shepherd School. So that's still about 6 to 8 months out from being completed. So we're hoping that kind of this momentum is going to be moving south of Cherokee, and then Broadway itself is a lot of vacancy and a lot of issues. So we are asking for a 5-year at 80%, although I believe according to our new map, we're eligible for, I believe it's 10 years up to 90, but we're trying to scale things back even a little bit more in the 9th Ward. So that's why I asked, against the recommendation of SLDC, I asked for 5 years at 80%. So.
Questions from the committee, Alderwoman Howard?
No questions.
Alderwoman Hubbard?
No question.
Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions.
Hearing no other questions from the committee, I'll entertain a motion that we pass out Board Bill number 23, the due pass recommendation.
I move we pass Board Bill 23 out of committee with the due pass recommendation.
Second. Previous roll.
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill number 23 passes out with the due pass recommendation.
He's got another.
He's got another one. Oh,
But I mean,
I thought you were going to sit down.
Alderman Gunther has one more, which is Board Bill number 82.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members. So Board Bill 82 is for 2829 Iowa. Very similar to the last board bill that was along Gravois, or that was along Broadway, that is a very industrial and kind of an area that needs some improvement. 2829 Iowa is right off of Gravois, which is another area that we are working on getting some development through there. The Ben Park, this is in the Ben Park West neighborhood. That neighborhood, we're seeing a whole lot of development, pretty much from the Cherokee up to Arsenal, but this is the very like northern sort of triangle of the neighborhood association that we are trying to get a lot more development in. We're very fortunate that right across Gravois we have DeSales Community Corporation that is putting a lot of investment into that small triangle. So this will just be one more building that will kind of complement that little area. There's a lot of vacancy on this block of Iowa, and then the building that is directly north of it is a giant 3-story, it was a 6-family that the wall is falling down on, but we're actually working with the DeSales to try to get that one developed. This property was also years before I got into this position, was a problem property with the neighborhood association, and similar to the other project, was a drug house that we were able to shut down. So we're happy that this developer is coming in and able to redevelop it and get hopefully a pretty decent price. Some of the other houses around there are selling for right around $175,000 to $200,000. So I believe that this will be a great addition to that northern part of the Benton Park West neighborhood. Oh, and also similar to the last one, also I believe according to our new map, we are eligible for 10 years at 90%, but again, I'm going just for 5 years at 80%.
Questions from the committee, Alderwoman Howard.
Is this going to be a single family or two?
It'll be a single family. It was a two-family flat, and they're converting it to a single family.
Okay, because it's kind of confusing here. It
Yeah, with
says-
that each.
Yeah, each. It's
yeah,
like,
I-
okay. So the total sales price, and it's non-subsidized, correct?
It is not.
225 is market rate, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Getting all hoity-toity, gentrification going on down there. Okay.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions.
Any other questions? No questions from the committee. I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 82 that we pass it out with a due pass recommendation.
I recommend that we pass Board Bill 82 with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Previous row.
There we go.
Any objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 82 passes out with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you, Chairman and committee.
Thank you. So with that, it looks like we have Board Bill number 28, number 29, number 78, number 83, number 97, and number 114 that will be held for a future meeting. But again, want the record to reflect that we did have those on the agenda for today, and no one came to testify in favor or opposition to those, and we will hold them for a meeting at a future date. With that, I don't
What
have
about
any-
this resolution? Is this?
So Resolution 104, we're going to hold off on at the
Okay.
moment and set a time and date when everyone can participate in the presentation and questions regarding the resolution. So there's no other items on our agenda for today's meeting. We don't have a future meetings set currently, so I will work. Right, well, and we'll have to set a date for the resolution probably before that as well. So we'll go ahead and work with SLDC to get that rescheduled.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Hearing no objections, our meeting is adjourned.